Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
Hey, we are traveling around Taiwan. In day one of this unit, we took a nice long walk around 3 old streets. One was Jiufeng, one was Lugang, and then we had Daxi as well. So we're going to focus on that again today. Talking about some of these places that have a lot of historical value. And when you go there, you kind of get the feeling you're walking back into the past. I love that feeling. Also, of course, we couldn't go to these places in a tourist way and not talk about food because people who go on vacations or, go to a particular area as a tourist attraction want to know that there's something really tasty there to eat as well, because that's part of experiencing where you're going. It's certainly part of the culture for sure. I've been surprised too, Tom, that so many of the cities in Taiwan have their own unique dish, their specialty, considering Taiwan's not that big to begin with. I love that.
So that, of course, can be a lifelong pursuit to visit all the different towns in Taiwan and try their different dishes and specialties and stuff like that. So we'll probably mention those as we talk about some old streets, some more old streets. In today's program, we're going to be going to Penghu, Neiwan, and Inga. And again, we might mention some other places as well. So let's get to it. Let's read through the entire contents of today's lesson one time.
Penghu Central Old Street. The islands of Penghu have been inhabited for roughly 5 millennia, but the main city, Magong, really began to flourish during the Qing dynasty. The Penghu Central Old Street is situated right at the heart of Magong and is sometimes called the First Street of Penghu. The buildings have wide wooden doors and brick walls. The bricks come in numerous shapes and sizes, and the patterns they make are eye-catching. Neiwan Old Street. Neiwan Old Street in Hsinchu County is a perfect place to enjoy Hakka specialties. Many people in the area are Hakka, so you're guaranteed abundant Hakka-style mochi and leicha. The architecture of the old street displays traditional wood construction, since this area of Hsinchu County was historically the source of high-quality timber. There is also an impressive theater on the old street that was erected during the Japanese occupation of Taiwan. Inga Old Street. Inga Old Street is located in New Taipei City. If you visit this stretch of shops near the Inga train station, you'll behold vast amounts of pottery. Inga is famous for its ceramic goods, which are both practical and artistic. In fact, there is a museum devoted to the area's past as a center for pottery in Taiwan. You can feel history breathing all around you whenever you set foot on one of Taiwan's old streets. While they now include modern conveniences and safety upgrades, these contemporary touches don't erase the lessons that can be learned by visiting and experiencing an old street and everything it has to offer.
Okay, let's continue to walk Taiwan's old streets and have a journey to the past. Now, today we're actually leaving the main island of Taiwan and going to one of the offshore islands. And we're going to Penghu here. And in Penghu, there's the Central Old Street, which is in the city of Magong, if I'm not mistaken. So, yes, Penghu Central Old Street. The islands of Penghu have been inhabited for roughly 5 millennia, but the main city, Magong, really began to flourish during the Qing dynasty. So there have been people living on the Penghu Islands for 5,000 years or so. They have been inhabited for that time. Inhabit as a verb just means someone lives there, and in this sense it's a scientific word. It just refers to whether or not a place has had people living there. So if it's an island in the Pacific Ocean, for example, you might say, oh, no one lives there. It's an uninhabited island.
Right. So, yeah, Penghu's a place I haven't been to yet, but wow, it's really old. Millennia here is the plural form of the singular millennium. So, millennia, if you see that, you know you're talking about more than just 1,000 years. So, the main city is Ma Gong, and if something's flourishing, it just means it's doing really well, it's thriving. I think that's a good synonym for flourish, to thrive, to grow well. To do well, and this was back during the Qing dynasty. Now, the Penghu Central Old Street is situated right at the heart of Ma Gong and is sometimes called, and we have quotations around this, these are the exact words, the first street of Penghu. But this phrase is probably spoken in Chinese or Taiwanese and not English, if you hear it from one of the natives here. So if you talk about something being situated in a particular place or a particular area, it just means that's where it's located, that's where they placed it. Yeah, it's situated there. It's in a certain place or position. Yeah, sometimes I want to change up my apartment, so I take some of the furniture and move it around. Right now, my sofa is situated near the window. So, yeah, this is situated right at the heart of Ma Gong. If you see that phrase, right at the heart of a city or a place, it just means right there in the middle of that place. That's the heart of something, the middle of it, where there's a lot of activity probably. And it's also called the first street of Penghu. So it sounds like it's very old.
Yeah, it does sound old indeed. I was there many years ago. I think it was 1992, but I don't really remember much from that trip. I was on my bicycle, but Penghu, of course, is the main island of the Penghu Islands. And then there's Penghu and Baisha and Xiyu. Those are the main three islands. And then there's a bunch of other smaller islands. But you're probably going to be going to Ma Gong, which is the main city there. And, of course, sometimes they refer to it as the first street of Penghu. I'm sure it's changed a lot since the time I was there. It's probably become a lot more touristy. And the buildings have wide wooden doors and brick walls. Again, I don't really remember that because it was a long time ago. I just remember that temple. There was a really fine temple there with lots of signs and architecture and stuff like that. But I guess there is an old street there in Penghu as well. And the bricks come in numerous shapes and sizes, and the patterns they make are eye-catching. So if you like bricks, which of course are those little pieces of building material that are kind of orange in color, well then this is the place for you. They come in numerous shapes. There are lots of different shapes of those bricks, and they have different sizes as well. And not only that, they have different patterns that are carved into those bricks. So of course there are going to be lots of photo opportunities when you go there.
I think brick buildings are more popular in the US than they are here. I don't see a lot of brick homes or brick apartment buildings. It's usually
there used to be one, so the Sanheyuan, you know.
Oh, yeah. My mom loved red brick, but she loved the old red brick, and the old red brick would have part of some white paint on it. And when my parents built a new house when I was 14, we actually bought the bricks for the house from an old school that they'd torn down. But she loves those old bricks. Yeah, bricks are beautiful, and you can make different patterns with them. My grandfather, my mom's dad, actually was a great bricklayer, along with other things he could do. And in the back of my parents' current home, he has laid bricks in a really cool pattern that we walk on, and we have a place out there that we can cook and grill food. But yeah, bricks are pretty cool, and if you put them in a pattern, it can be quite beautiful. So you might want to check that out if you're going down to Penghu. The bricks come in numerous shapes, lots of different shapes and sizes. Now, Neiwan is a place I haven't been. Taiwan. Have you been there, Tom? Have you ever gone to Neiwan Old Street?
Yeah, actually about 3 times. And again, I was there before it got to be touristy. So I kind of got to see both sides of Neiwan. Yeah, I guess I prefer things that aren't so touristy.
Yeah.
But what can you do? Lots of people want to check these places out. But Neiwan, of course, is an old street in Hsinchu County. And it is a perfect place to enjoy Hakka specialties. So that particular section of Hsinchu County has a lot of Hakka people there, 客家人, Hakka. So if you like Hakka food or Hakkanese food, hey, you can certainly have some Hakka specialties there, some kind of a Hakka food that you probably won't find in other places. These are specialties. A specialty, of course, can refer to a kind of food that is unique or special in a certain place. It could also be like a special skill that you have, a specialty. Like if you're a medical doctor, maybe you have a specialty in plastic surgery or something like that.
Or, if you have a particular job, maybe your specialty is, I don't know. I'm going to use Tom records his specialty is teaching and also doing crazy voices in cartoons. He's really good at that. Those are his specialties.
Well, I think we both do that, right?
Well, yours are really good. Many people in the area are Hakka. So, as Tom said, you're guaranteed abundant Hakka-style mochi and leicha. So, every culture has their own way of preparing particular dishes. They have theirs. If you are guaranteed something, it just means someone's giving you kind of a promise that you're definitely going to have a particular type of outcome or experience. You're guaranteed to have a great time, which just means it's so fun there, we can't imagine people not having a good time. Now, guaranteed here is a verb. A guarantee as a noun is when you buy something, and typically it's more expensive, and the store tells you this is guaranteed. It has a guarantee on it for 3 years or 10 years. I bought a new mattress and there was a guarantee on it. Sometimes there's a warranty. We'll use that as well. But if a store or a company is advertising something, we guarantee that you'll love this or your money back, which just means you try it if you don't like it. If you don't like it, you can return it and they'll refund your money to guarantee something. So, yeah, you're guaranteed abundant, meaning lots and lots of something, abundant Hakka-style foods, and they have their own style for the mochi and the leicha. Abundant just means there's a large quantity of something. It's plentiful. You're not going to run out. It's not scarce, which would be the opposite of abundant. But what we don't have a lot of right now is time. We're going to take a break, listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back.
谢谢美语老师。Hello, my name is Shelby. 今天继续老街之旅。首先，我们到澎湖。第一段第一句，澎湖群岛有人居住大约5000年。动词 inhabit 居住于，人居住于某地 somebody inhabit 加介系词加地方。而这句中，澎湖群岛当主词，所以用被动 have been inhabited。Inhabit 的同义字还有 dwell, D-W-E-L-L 或者 reside, R-E-S-I-D-E 用法一样，都是表居住。1000年 millennium, M-I-L-L-E-N-N-I-U-M 复数的时候字尾去掉 U-M 加上 A 变成 millennia, 5 millennia 5000年。第二句，澎湖老街位于马公市的中心。动词 is situated at 位于 situate 使位于，主词是东西的时候 situate 用被动。同样情况还有 locate， 请到文章的第3段第一句 Inga Old Street is located in New Taipei City。 locate 使位于，主词是老街，被放置在新北市，所以动词写成 is located。另外，若想用主动表达位于的话，就改用 sit 或者 stand 或者 lie。所以这句也可以说，澎湖老街 sits right at the heart of 马公。下一句，这些建筑有木门和砖墙。第4句，动词片语 come in 加颜色或形状等，来表达中文有，主要用于物品以某种形态出现。The bricks come in numerous shapes and sizes. 砖块有各式的形状和尺寸。接着到内湾老街，内湾可以享受客家名产，很多人是客家人 ，so you are guaranteed... 第二句后半，你会被保证后面的东西，后面是 abundant 大量的客家麻薯 and 擂茶。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue to talk about some of the old streets in Taiwan. Today, we have talked about the Penghu Central Old Street so far, and we've also begun to talk about the old street in Neiwan, which, of course, is in Hsinchu County. You can drive there, or you can take the branch line. There's actually a train that goes from Hsinchu City all the way out to Neiwan, so that can be a fun time for you and your family or your boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. So in any case here, if you go there, you're going to enjoy some Hakka specialties. You'll be guaranteed abundant Hakka-style mochi and lei cha. You can certainly drink it there or take some home with you. And the architecture of the old street displays traditional wood construction, since this area of Hsinchu County was historically the source of high-quality timber. Timber just means wood that is used to build things. Timber, lumber is after it's been cut, okay? When they take it out of the forest, that's when it's timber. But then when they take it and process it and cut the bark off it and cut it into 2x4s or whatever, then it's lumber.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that. So here it says the architecture of the old street. Tom always likes to remind listeners that architecture does not refer to buildings. It only refers to the style of buildings, how they're designed, what they look like. And the architecture of the old street, just meaning the design of the buildings along that street, displays all these traditional wood construction. I love wood. Again, I'm using my parents' home, but Mom wanted a lot of wood and brick, red brick. Even though we live in Arizona, which is so hot, and everybody has like you guys don't know what stucco is, but it's a kind of plaster, and they used it a lot in the desert long ago because it was cooler. But Mom wanted to feel like she lived in a nicer, cooler climate. And so our house kind of looks like it deserves to be back east or something. Anyway, yeah, so it's got some wonderful architecture. Please don't put an S on this word, guys. It's like information. Never put an S on it. Architecture is bukashuda, so don't do it. There's also an impressive theater. This is where I'd head, or I'd go to, is that theater on the old street. And it was built or erected during the Japanese occupation of Taiwan. To erect something just means to build it, and typically you think of a bigger building that goes up. You could erect a statue, though, or a memorial to someone. Here, it was built during the Japanese occupation when the Japanese had full control over Taiwan. That's what an occupation means. It just means a different country comes into your country and takes control. They're occupying it. And that was a while ago. So you're going to see some older buildings and maybe Japanese style too.
Yeah, maybe so. So again, this theater was built or erected during the period of Japanese occupation. And yeah, I remember seeing that theater there, but I don't remember if they actually show films there.
Is it a drama theater, like where they put on plays, or a movie theater?
No, I think it's for movies.
Oh, okay.
But you know how they used to have theaters for drama, and then they'd later convert them to show films.
They did both, yeah.
They could have both. I'm not quite sure, but you never know. They might have shows there for you to check out. Check your local listings or go online to find out. So let's leave Neiwan now and go back up to the north here to Inga. Okay, Inga Old Street. Inga, of course, is known for its ceramics and pottery and stuff like that. It's right next to Sanxia, and Inga Old Street is located in New Taipei City. It used to be located in Taipei Xian or Taipei County, but they changed all that a few years ago. So now it's Inga Chu. in Xinbei-shi. Okay, it used to be Inga Zhen or something like that, or Xiang. I can't remember what it was, but of course, it's a small little town there. And if you visit this stretch of shops near the Inga train station, you'll behold vast amounts of pottery. So yeah, going to the train station is one way to get to Inga. You can drive there, but I think there's only one parking lot there, and there's a big long line of people waiting to get in. So yes, I suggest you go there by train.
Yeah, that's a good piece of advice. Behold here just means you'll see something. It's kind of a dramatic word that you can use in writing sometimes, or even in speaking. Behold! Behold. I would say that sometimes if I cleaned the house and my parents came home and saw that I'd actually been a good girl and done my chores. So behold, vast means a large quantity or a very big, immense kind of space. You'll often see it used to describe the ocean, the vast ocean. There's a lot of water out there, so it can be used with countable and non-count nouns. Vast amounts of pottery can be seen there. I love the pottery there. So it is famous for its ceramic goods. If you see ceramic, it's kind of another word for pottery. Goods or things that are made of clay and are hardened through a process where they're heated up. Those are ceramic goods. And you can go there and buy things that are practical like dishes, and things that are just artistic would be like vases that you don't want anyone to touch because they're too beautiful and expensive. You don't want anyone to break them.
There are a lot of stores there that sell dishes and ceramics of all kinds. So yeah, be prepared to buy things, and they'll wrap them up in newspaper for you so you can take them back home and so they won't break. But indeed, they are practical, like dishes, cups, saucers, and they're also artistic for display in your home. In fact, there is a museum devoted to the area's past as a center for pottery in Taiwan. Yes, indeed, the Ceramics Museum there is kind of near the freeway exit there.
Oh, nice.
And it's a pretty cool museum. It's modern. It's very well put together. It's definitely worth checking out. And I've been there a couple of times myself, and I definitely felt it was worth going to. So indeed, even though it's not on the old street, it's still worth checking out, and it can still give you a bit of a history lesson about Inga.
Yeah, I'd definitely go there. You can feel history breathing all around you. What does that mean? Well, it's a beautiful way to put kind of the feeling you have when you walk around some of these old streets. You can actually, I don't know, I always picture the people that used to live there long ago, and some of how they might have felt there. I picture them walking around the street, even though they're gone, of course, and I'm not seeing ghosts, but I like to imagine the people that used to live there and maybe how they felt about life long ago. Do you know there are videos on YouTube that have they're old films that were black and white initially. They go as far back as like 1900. They are fascinating. There are films of Paris and London and even America. And the people used to really dress up long ago. We're kind of slobs, aren't we, Tom? We just dress down all the time.
Yeah, they wore all the same kinds of leather shoes and stuff.
The guys all had hats and,
Indeed, and nice jackets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Never T-shirts with really weird slogans on them and stuff
jeans.
like that. But yeah, you can see films and photographs like that of old Taiwan as well.
Love
They're
it.
online as well. And yes, indeed, you can feel history breathing all around you when you set foot in those alleys. And while they now include modern conveniences and safety upgrades, these contemporary touches don't erase the lessons that can be learned by visiting and experiencing an old street and everything it has to offer. So yes, these old streets do offer modern conveniences that they didn't have before, like maybe air conditioning and things like that, or a fresh hot cup of coffee. And also, you've got the safety upgrades, which means, I guess, some of these buildings are now safe and you don't have to worry about a fire starting or whatever. So you can learn a lot by going to these places.
Yeah, you mentioned something, Tom, I just want to say briefly. In the article, you set foot on one of the old streets. And Tom, you were using alleys as an example. You set foot in an alley. That's correct. You don't set foot on an alley. You actually are in the alley, right?
Right.
But for some reason in English, we love to say, are going to step foot on one of the streets. Although, just to make it even more complicated, if perhaps, for example, a child runs out into the street, he's in the middle of the street, or he's in the middle of the road, you wouldn't say he's on the middle of the road.
No.
Sorry, English is so crazy with the prepositions.
Yep.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways to upgrade something. You get a newer model, a newer version of something. If you want to upgrade your software, you have to buy the latest version to do that. Right now, we're going to try to wrap this up. Listen to our Chinese teacher one more time, and then we'll be back.
而且老街建筑也显示传统木头结构。第3句后半，因为这区域历史上就是高品质木材的来源。Since 当转折语，这里表因为相当于 because 或者是 as， 后面加子句，修饰主要的句子。High quality timber 高品质木材 ，timber 木材。例如，这些房子用木材建造 ，The houses are built of timber。另外，表示木头的生字还有 lumber，L-U-M-B-E-R， 是砍下后还没有经过处理的木材。Wood 最普遍用法，加上 s 就变成森林。Log，L-O-G 原木。接着我们看莺歌老街的第2句。如果你拜访这片商家，靠近火车站，句子当中的 stretch 名词，伸展或者是土地的绵延。This stretch of shops 表示一片连绵的商店。再举一个例子 ，A great stretch of open field 一大片开阔的田野。下半句 ，You'll behold vast amounts of pottery。Behold 看，相当于 see、view 或者 notice。三态是 behold、beheld、beheld。B-E-H-E-L-D Vast amounts of pottery 大量的陶器，而且也常在表达赞叹的时候会说 Behold 看啊。莺歌呢是以陶制品出名，兼具实用性及艺术。第4句 In fact, there is a museum devoted to 这是一个 there is 加名词加分词的句型。There be 的意思为有，主词是 be 动词后面的名词，名词后面再接分词来修饰。后面的 devoted to something 表示专用于什么的。整句话，这间博物馆专门展示这地区的过去。Devoted 也可以表示真诚的。A devoted father 就是一个慈爱的父亲。最后一段第1句 You can feel history breathing 你可以感受到历史的气息。 Feel 是感官动词，加受词再加原形动词或 VING 或 PP。 用 VING 是指感觉到某事正在发生某个动作，历史气息随时发生着，所以 breathe 用 breathing 来表达形容 history。无论何时你踏上台湾老街，后半句的 whenever 加子句，无论何时相当于 no matter when。 最后一句，虽然现在包含便利设施及安全升级， These contemporary touches don't erase the lessons。 touch 当装饰， erase 擦掉，这些现代装点都无法抹去经由老街学到的经验。以上是今天的讲解，谢谢收听。
That is it for today's lesson. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully we have inspired you to head out and check out some of the old streets in Taiwan yourself if you haven't already done so many, many times already. So from all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
See ya.